Hi, it's Alicia here from Bucks and Boudoir, and I thought let's do some retouching today. I don't think I've shown you guys any of my editing or retouching skills, and it's rainy, it's gloomy out. What a perfect day to work on some images. So I am working on a set right now that I shot with a friend of mine, and I mean, how gorgeous is she, right? I've already edited this image, but we're gonna take it into Photoshop now and tweak it a little bit more, finesse it a bit more, and fully retouch it. So I've already applied my color toning, all that good stuff. I've also gone in and applied some presets to bring out the texture in her hair a little bit more, soften her skin just a tad inside of Camera Raw, and then work on bringing down the sky a little bit and pulling out some of these pinks. That's kind of mostly what I did. Again, color toning, I brought down the greens, fun stuff like that. I really want to think about retouching though today, so let's go ahead and open this right up in Photoshop, and I'll kind of take you through my workflow on how I retouch a portrait. Normally I'm doing boudoir stuff, but the hydrangeas in the front of my yard were so pretty, we had to shoot with them. So the first thing I do is I always just convert to sRGB as my new color profile, because that's what my lab where I print my images wants. That's the first thing that I do. Then I duplicate my layer. Maybe you're really awesome and on top of things and you name your layers. I don't do that. But I don't normally have a ton of layers, so it's gonna be okay. Okay, then I go in with something called Portraiture 3, which is a program that I bought. It's awesome. I love it. It will go and smooth out skin in a really, really beautiful way. I find that medium and strong are a bit too much, so I always stick with their normal setting, but you can customize it and, finesse it however you want. I really like the normal layer. And then I've already duplicated my layers, so I'm just going to have all of these settings applied to the layer that I just created. There is a setting in here where you can tell it to only apply the skin smoothing to the actual skin. Basically, it's going to try to mask the image for you. I don't think it does a great job. I prefer to mask it myself, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So we've just applied some skin smoothing. See how well you can see it. So here's with the skin smoothing on, and here's with it off. So not a huge difference, but just a little bit. And that's really what I want. I don't like it when I'm shooting boudoir and skin looks unrealistic, or people have completely removed and smoothed out texture and stretch marks and things like that. I don't care for that. So I find that the normal level in Portraiture 3 is like the perfect amount and the majority of skin texture that I want someone to have on their body stays. I just like to do a little bit of skin smoothing because I do find that cameras are so dang good at picking up every little thing. I almost kind of want to combat that a little bit. So, like I said, I just applied that smoothing to the whole image, which I don't want. So we're going to mask it. And then I'm going to go in with my white paintbrush, flow and opacity at 100. And I will just put that skin smoothing that we just did exactly where I want it, which is just on her skin. I forget sometimes too when I'm doing like portrait work like this, I'm like, oh man, so much of her body is covered in clothing. I don't even have to mask very much. When I'm doing my boudoir sessions, it's a lot more skin I have to go and mask. So I try to avoid the eyes. I try to avoid the lips. I try to avoid the eyebrows. I don't do the hair, things like that. Things like that. Okay, I'm digging that. Now, oh my God, you guys see her. She's freaking stunning. She's gorgeous. If she had like acne or something, we would really use frequency separation for that. I'm going to show you what I would normally do, but there's not a whole lot we have to go in and fix with frequency separation. fix. Maybe that's not even the right word, but normally I do run frequency separation when I'm editing client work. So we're going to do it just for the sake of posterity. I have this action that I got from Flern. I am sure you can find some frequency separation actions online for free. You can buy it. You can make your own. I already have mine ready to go. So we're just going to run that. And what frequency separation does is put your texture and your color on 2 separate layers, which is really, really helpful when you are trying to retouch skin and things like that, because sometimes I don't want the color to be different. Like if I were just to go in and clone with, my clone brush or something, it would be picking up the color and the texture, which I don't want. So like, okay, we have the world's tiniest little mark. No big deal. So I'm on my texture layer right now. Okay, let me actually show you what the texture and color layer looks like. So if I turn off my texture layer, no more texture, right? It's super blurry because all you're getting is color. And if I turn off my color layer, it's really, this layer is still on. So that's what we're seeing. Let's just turn those off so you can see. See, it's just texture. Same with that, just color. But we're going to keep all of our layers on because we can. All right, let's go look at that little teeny, tiny, itty bitty little mark. Goodbye. So I'm just using my patch tool to say sayonara. Goodbye. Oh, a little piece of glitter. That's about right if you're shooting with me. Maybe this little tiny, whatever that is, little piece of dust. Goodbye. Anything wonky in the background I gotta take care of? No, because I did a pretty good job with this shot. This is my front yard, by the way. Isn't that pretty? And she came up with this pose all by herself. She's leaning. She's just pretending to lean right now. So again, if there was like, maybe somebody had a bunch of mosquito bites, for example, frequency separation is great because I can go in and I can easily remove the bump texture. And if it's red, I can remove the red color. There's just so much more like flexibility you have when you're working with a texture layer and a color layer. I think the only thing I might do is just like, I don't know. She's got great eyebrows. She has beautiful eyebrows. I might just go clean them up a teensy little bit. Oh, my opacity is at 40. Let's turn my clone brush all the way up. There we go. And then I will go in and just grab parts of her skin that I want to clone over some of these like little stray guys who are hanging out. I might even, let's try something. Okay, so for example, right now, right, I'm like taking care of the texture, but the color's being left behind. You see that? You see how it's still kind of gray here? So if I pop into my color layer and I grab this color of her skin, you see how it places that down? Pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little tool. Oh, undo that. Swim out. I might go in here. Tight. I don't know. Why not? This was a fun creative session, so I can do fun editing, fun retouching. Just want like that one little, this little thing right here to be straight. I've gone in and I'm just cloning kind of eyebrow hairs in that one little spot I wanted them. Oh yeah. See? Just a little tiny bit of finessing. You know what? There's a little tiny bit more I'm gonna do. Like the bitsiest. And fill in, I just want to fill in this arch a little bit more. She did this makeup herself. Honestly, I don't even know if she's wearing makeup. She's stunning. Let's take a look at that. Yeah. This is why frequency separation is so great. Almost all of that was done just in the texture layer. And then a little bit in the color layer on the sides of the brow. And that's it. And that is all I'm going to do within frequency separation. So the last thing that I do in my workflow typically is run some dodging over this. And I do my dodging and burning by holding Alt, creating a new layer. I do label this one, so I know that it's my dodge and burn layer. I set my mode to overlay, and then I will fill in the layer with a neutral gray. Okay, so there's my dodge layer, and I can move it out of my frequency separation folder. Quick note, frequency separation, when this creates your texture and color layer, it will include whatever layer is currently on underneath it. So this is sort of like one of the last steps I do when I'm retouching. So if there's anything I need to fix, like the background, or I need to clone something out or what have you, this needs to happen pretty much at the very end once like all of those major steps are already done. And then the very, very last thing I do is dodging and burning. So I'm on my dodging and burning layer. I'm going to grab my paintbrush. I set my opacity to 4. And then I only use the white and the black. So dodging is just adding brightness, and then burning is adding darkness. So I'm going to take my white paintbrush and I'm just going to bring up her eye a little bit. And I keep it at 4% because I feel like I have a little more control over how much white paint is going down. So I just click that 3 times, 1, 2, 3, which really would be 12%. I like that. I like that a lot. So I will typically just kind of bring up the spots where there was already natural light hitting. Right here is already pretty bright, so I'm not going to touch that. If we were in my studio, sometimes my highlights, I shoot really dark and moody, and I do expose for highlights. Sometimes I want certain highlights just to pop a little bit more. So then I'll go in, or like with hair, I love to use dodging on hair to bring out the highlights of it, especially if you've got, I don't know, curls or something like that. Yeah, there's not, we'll just bring up that a little bit too. Okay, so that's just with dodging. Now we're going to go in and burn a little bit. My hardness is always at 0 when I'm doing this. And I like to, again, kind of go where the shadows are. So cheekbones, I'll bring up that a little bit. Just 1 click right there. Bring these cheekbones down a little bit. Our hair already looks pretty contrasty, so I don't need to do that. And let's zoom out and take a peek. And there you go. I just, I'm a big fan of contrast, and dodging and burning gives me a lot of control over where that contrast is happening. So that's why I like to use it. And she's all glowy and ethereal now, as if she wasn't already. And that is pretty much everything that's my pretty basic workflow when I'm retouching an image at my studio. I run portraiture, I run frequency separation, I do my dodging and burning, and I'm all good. If you want a little like bonus SEO tip, we'll save this real quick. Is this a good file name? No. But that's okay. If I was delivering this to a client, that's not what I would deliver. I'll show you if this saves quickly, I'll show you how I prefer to name my files. So I'll show you how I would. These would already be named. I would have gone into Bridge and just batch renamed them. I didn't do that though, because again, this is a creative session and I was being lazy. So let's say this is a JPEG. Now, how I would normally do a file name would be, so we'll do that. And then my studio name, and then, you know, whatever number it is, we'll say 1. And the reason that I save it this way is because if she were to share any of them online, like I'm going to have to go in and rename these. If she shares them online, then my studio name is attached to the image, and that's good for SEO. And there it is. That's how I retouch a portrait at my studio. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. If you need help with anything, I can do my best to answer. You know, this is just my go-to workflow. Maybe there's something else that'll work for you, but I find this to be super fast. I mean, the portraiture plugin has definitely increased the speed that I can retouch, and this type of dodging and burning is nice because it's non-destructive. The reason also, I should note real quick, the reason that I do the overlay or the fill with a neutral gray is because if you mess up, you can go in here and type in that neutral gray number, which is 808080. And I'll just turn my opacity up to 100 so you can see this. And then, you see, it just erased everything. So neutral gray just acts like an eraser. So if you screw up and you're like, oh no, I wasn't supposed to dodge that, and maybe like you don't realize it until you're already a couple moves in and you can't do the undo button, you can just go with neutral gray and fix it. Easy peasy. But yeah, anyways, that's how I retouch. Let me know if you have questions in the comments. If you like this kind of video, let me know. I would love to show you more of my work. You know, I can show you more of my work and how I retouch and how I edit. Maybe I do something in Camera Raw and I walk you through how I do my color toning, but you know, let me know in the comments. And if you got anything from this video, please like and subscribe. It's very helpful. And I will see you all again here next Saturday with another video. Bye.